China's pursuit of hypersonic missiles has made headlines across the world. These advanced weapons are designed to travel at speeds greater than Mach 5, maneuvering unpredictably, and bypassing traditional defense systems. On paper, this makes them sound unstoppable, and many believe they could tilt the balance of military power against the United States. But when we dig deeper into reality, the picture is very different. The United States, despite facing challenges from China's rapid development, has spent decades building layers of defense, advanced detection networks, and global military partnerships that keep its position secure. There are 5 key reasons why China's hypersonic missiles cannot defeat the U.S. defense systems, and when these reasons are fully understood, the story of American military dominance becomes clearer than ever. The first reality is the sheer scale and sophistication of America's defense technology. Hypersonic missiles are designed to evade radar by flying low and maneuvering quickly, but the United States has invested heavily in next-generation radar, satellite constellations, and sensor fusion networks that can track even the fastest-moving threats. Systems like the Space-Based Infrared System satellites, known as SBIRS, are already capable of detecting missile launches the instant they occur. These satellites are paired with ground and sea-based radars, giving the U.S. a global view of potential missile threats. This layered system of detection, known as early warning, ensures that no missile, even one flying at hypersonic speeds, remains invisible. In comparison, China's surveillance and tracking capabilities are still developing and remain largely regional. The U.S. has spent over 70 years building worldwide detection and command networks, and it is this experience that makes its defense systems so difficult to overcome. Beyond detection, the second reality lies in America's missile interception technology. The U.S. operates multiple layers of missile defense, including the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense System, or THAAD, the Aegis ballistic missile defense on Navy ships, and the ground-based mid-course defense system positioned in Alaska and California. These systems have been tested repeatedly against fast, maneuvering threats. While no defense system in the world is perfect, America's layered approach means that even if a missile penetrates one line of defense, it will face multiple additional barriers before it could ever threaten the U.S. mainland or its allies. China, on the other hand, does not have this global, layered missile defense. Its system is focused more on offense, while America's dual focus on both offense and defense keeps it ahead. U.S. missile interception systems are integrated with allies like Japan, South Korea, and NATO members, creating a web of protection across continents. This integration is something China cannot currently match, and it's a decisive advantage that makes hypersonic weapons less threatening than they appear. The third reality is America's technological lead in hypersonic research itself. While Chinese state media often showcase successful hypersonic missile tests, many of these claims remain unverified. The U.S. has been researching hypersonic flight since the Cold War, long before China began its programs. Decades of wind tunnel testing, flight experiments, and joint military industry projects mean that America understands both the strengths and the vulnerabilities of hypersonic weapons. For every weapon designed, there are countermeasures developed in parallel. The U.S. is not only creating its own hypersonic missiles but also building systems like the Glide Phase Interceptor, designed specifically to shoot down hypersonic threats during their most vulnerable phase of flight. This kind of dual-track strategy, offense and defense simultaneously, ensures that even if China makes progress, the U.S. remains 1 or 2 steps ahead. Reality shows that weapons development is not about single breakthroughs but about long-term consistency, and that consistency has been the hallmark of American defense industries for generations. The fourth reason lies in America's global military presence. Hypersonic missiles are designed to intimidate regional rivals and create an anti-access zone, meaning they are most effective near China's borders. But the U.S. operates more than 750 military bases in over 80 countries, giving it the ability to project power far beyond its own territory. This global reach means that if a conflict were ever to escalate, the U.S. could position its forces in ways that reduce the effectiveness of China's hypersonic arsenal. Navy carrier strike groups, equipped with Aegis missile defense, can operate around the globe, intercepting threats before they reach American shores. Submarines, stealth bombers, and forward-deployed missile defense batteries ensure that the U.S. never has to fight from a disadvantaged position. In contrast, China's military presence outside its own borders is minimal, with only a handful of overseas bases. This limited reach severely restricts the strategic usefulness of hypersonic missiles, especially against a nation that can fight from multiple directions and theaters at once. The final reality that ensures China's hypersonic missiles cannot defeat U.S. defense systems is the power of alliances. America is not standing alone in the face of hypersonic threats. Nations like Japan, South Korea, Australia, and members of NATO all contribute to the global network of surveillance and defense. Together, they share intelligence, track missile launches, and develop joint interception technologies. China, meanwhile, has far fewer allies, and even those partnerships lack the depth of trust and cooperation seen in US-led alliances. This network effect multiplies America's defense power exponentially. A missile that might slip past one nation's radar will still be tracked by another, feeding data into a shared system that makes interception more likely. The strength of alliances cannot be underestimated. It turns America's defense into a global shield, one that no single adversary can easily overcome. When you look closely at all of these realities, the conclusion is clear. China's hypersonic missiles may capture attention in headlines, but they do not shift the balance of power. The U.S. remains decades ahead in detection, interception, research, global presence, and alliances. This doesn't mean that hypersonic weapons are not dangerous, they are, but their effectiveness is limited when faced with the kind of layered, global system that only the United States possesses. In fact, one of the overlooked aspects of the arms race is that weapons like hypersonic missiles are enormously expensive to produce and deploy. Each one represents a massive investment of resources for China, while America's broader economy and military budget can sustain both offensive and defensive systems at once. This financial strength ensures that the U.S. can continue developing new countermeasures as fast as new threats emerge. A closer look at the U.S. Navy highlights this advantage further. Carrier strike groups are often portrayed as vulnerable to hypersonic attacks, yet the reality is that these groups are surrounded by layers of defensive ships, submarines, and aircraft. A single carrier is protected by Aegis-equipped destroyers capable of shooting down incoming missiles at multiple ranges. Drones and surveillance aircraft extend the detection range even further, meaning that a hypersonic missile would be tracked long before it approached striking distance. The U.S. Navy also trains constantly for these scenarios, running war games and exercises with allies to refine interception strategies. This level of preparation ensures that theory meets practice, and practice strengthens reality. China's Navy, while growing rapidly, does not yet possess the same level of integrated defense and global operational experience. Air superiority is another pillar of U.S. dominance. Hypersonic missiles may be fast, but they still rely on being launched from platforms that can be detected and neutralized. American stealth bombers and fighters, like the B-2 and the F-35, are designed to eliminate threats before they escalate. With advanced air-to-air and air-to-ground capabilities, the U.S. can strike missile launch sites or disrupt command networks. Cyber warfare also plays a role here. America's cyber capabilities are among the most advanced in the world, capable of interfering with enemy command and control systems. Disrupting the ability to launch or guide hypersonic missiles may be as effective as intercepting them in flight. China continues to invest heavily in cyber operations as well, but the United States has decades of proven experience in both offensive and defensive cyber domains. The financial and industrial capacity of the United States is another layer that secures its defense. Hypersonic missiles require advanced materials, high-speed testing facilities, and precision manufacturing. The U.S. defense industry is a global leader in all of these areas, supported by an economy that spends more on defense annually than the next several nations combined. This means that even if China produces new hypersonic designs, the U.S. can out-invest, out-produce, and out-deploy countermeasures. The industrial base matters as much as the weapon itself. America's long-term strength lies not only in its current technology but in its unmatched ability to adapt and scale solutions quickly. It's also important to remember that warfare is not only about technology but also about strategy and doctrine. The U.S. military operates with decades of combat experience across multiple regions, from the Middle East to Europe to Asia. This experience translates into flexible strategies that can counter new threats as they arise. China, by contrast, has not fought a major war in over 4 decades. While its technology has advanced, its operational experience remains limited. Hypersonic missiles are impressive in tests, but real-world warfare introduces unpredictability, and experience often determines outcomes more than theoretical capability. Taken together, these realities demonstrate why the fear of China's hypersonic missiles is often exaggerated. They are a part of modern warfare, yes, but they do not fundamentally change the balance of power. The United States retains overwhelming advantages in detection, interception, alliances, global presence, technology, and experience. In every critical area, America has already built defenses that minimize the threat. Hypersonic missiles may be the weapons of tomorrow, but America's defense is already thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead. That is why China's hypersonic arsenal cannot defeat U.S. defense systems today, and why American military dominance continues to define the global order.